Hey guys, kinggath here with another patch for Sim Settlements. This is patch 3.1.1, which I'm calling Come On In, the Water's Fine. And that is for two reasons. One is that I added a thread pool to Sim Settlements, which if you're a code guy, probably wondering how I didn't have one up to this point. That is a great question. But we've got a thread pool now, which will help with performance, and that is the other reason I'm saying come on in and give Sim Settlements another try if you were taking a break from the 3.0 patch waiting for the quirks to be worked out, because I think we're at that point now. The 3.1 patch has been in public beta for close to a week now, getting nothing but glowing reports about it. Lots of the crashing that people were reporting is now resolved, and I have spent the majority of this last week plus analyzing save files, learning a lot about the engine as far as what causes crashes, and I've taken major steps to make sure that Sim Settlements isn't triggering any of those game issues. And I've also started a forum thread for, it's a kind of a crash guide for Fallout to show you some of the things that can cause the game to crash. It also includes steps you can do to determine what exactly is causing your crash and things you can do to prevent it from happening again, and even ways to fix your save file. So definitely check out that guide if you're experiencing a lot of Fallout crashes. It might open your eyes to some things you didn't know were even happening. And the thread pool and the multi-threading are what we're going to talk about now. So this is kind of some technical stuff, but I'm going to try and keep it as light as possible. So right now in the background, we've got a city refresh going. And for some of you, it probably takes quite a while to do that. A city refresh could probably take upwards of 15 minutes. Now, this city refresh I started, it should take less than 2 minutes total. And that's on my system. On everybody's systems, it will be different depending on how many mods you have, how powerful your computer is, etc. But that is because I re-optimized most of the code. I added extensive multi-threading throughout the system. And the thread pool basically allows you guys to control how far Sim Settlements can go. So prior to this patch, I kind of just let Sim Settlements run wild and use as many resources as it needed, and that turns out to be what was causing you guys to crash. So I had falsely assumed that the engine itself would kind of cap the mod from going too crazy. It apparently does not. And so when you guys would fast travel back to a settlement with a lot of new construction, all of that would just start firing off new code threads and would overwhelm your game. So it was especially apparent in Sanctuary because Red Rocket was right next door. So if you had built up Sanctuary and Red Rocket all with full of plots, all of a sudden you come back and both of them need to update simultaneously, and it was causing kind of a train wreck. So the thread pool will prevent that by kind of throttling how much power Sim Settlements can use. And I decided rather than just trying to pick an arbitrary number of threads to allow simultaneously, which would have two problems. One, it would kind of make me choose a bare bones system to use as the baseline, which is no good. So instead, I made it a holotape option. So this way, for those of you guys on high-end systems, you can crank this number up. And for those of you who are on original Xbox or lower-end PCs, you can kind of tone it down as far as you need to. So under the performance options, there's a new configure multi-threading section. Apologize, this stuff's super boring if you're not into the PC tech, but I'm just going to give you guys, I'll just tell you what to do, and then don't worry about the tech behind it. Basically, if you're on a high-end system, come in here and crank this up to 20. You're going to want as many threads as possible so that Sim Settlements runs snappy and smooth. If you're on an Xbox, or if you're on a lower-end PC, or you just experience a lot of crashes in your game, especially those from fast traveling to settlements, here's what you're going to want to do. Save your game. Drop this down to 1. Drop the max threads down to 1. Now fast travel to whatever settlement gives you the most grief. So whatever one crashes you a lot or has a lot of FPS drops. See if it works. Like, just wait around the settlement, see if it was stable. Now go back, load your game again, try cranking this up a bit, put it up to 3 or 4 or 5, and repeat, and just see how far you can push it. You might be surprised at how much your game can actually handle. Because prior to this patch, especially if your crashes were only in super busy areas like Sanctuary or in settlements where you had 40 or 50 plots, what was happening before is that every plot could create its own thread. So you could end up hitting 50, 60, 70 or more threads firing at once. And sometimes your game wouldn't crash. So that tells you how much the game engine can really handle. So now I put the max cap at 20. I'll probably adjust that and bump it up a little higher, in the future for people who are on really powerful systems. And I'm going to keep tweaking with this. In fact, eventually I would like some settlements to take account for other big mods you have installed and adjust this dynamically, but that's for another day. First, let's get this system working at this basic level, and then we can enhance it. So now you guys have control. You can tell some settlements how many threads it's allowed to create, and that'll give you that'll allow you to make sure you're maximizing your system and not crashing your game from a lot of scripts. Next up, we've got multi-threaded city building. This has been in here for a patch or two already. Basically, in order to do that refresh city you saw in the background that quickly, I gave the city building its own thread pool to work from, and it can create a good number. And this capping this, or turning this off rather, will basically force the city building to use the normal thread pool. So it'll slow it down dramatically, but it'll be very, very stable. So if you find that you're crashing during the city building or during a refresh city, try turning this off, see if it helps you out. It will make things much slower, but I mean, slower is better than crashing. So those are your options now to play with. And again, I'll expand this screen in the future because I want those of you guys on powerful systems to be able to take advantage of the speed, and those of you who are on the bare bones systems to be able to play the game stably. So that was the name of the game with this patch, was just stability and speed. I wanted everything to be running smooth, and I think we're at that point now. Not only did I re-optimize most of the city building, I also optimized the plots as themselves. So refreshing the plots, doing the refresh local plot tool, all that should be way faster and way less likely to cause problems for you. I've also now, by this patch, because I had so much time, I had over a week to work on this stuff periodically. So in between doing rounds of heavy recoding, I also was approaching bugs you guys were reporting to me, and I've got all of the new systems working now correctly. I've got the visitors should no longer be attacking people at random, although I don't even know why they were attacking in the first place, so I may be wrong on that. There may be some sort of mod conflict out we got to work out, but the visitors should be working correctly now. The caravan system should be working, so it should be sharing resources correctly and making sure that the upgrades are happening. The maintenance system should be correct. The new tax system should work correctly. So everything, all the new systems that were introduced should now be working fairly well. I know there are a few corner cases I've got to work out still, and I will take care of those in patches. But what all that means is that we're done with the bug fix only patches. This should be the last one of those. Now I can focus on getting back to the normal style of patches for Sim Settlements, which is a mix of new content, quality of life improvements, and bug fixes, which are my favorite types of patches. Not the bug fixes, but that mix of patch. I love giving you guys a little bit of everything and kind of keeping the development of all this stuff going simultaneously. So we're going to get back to that next week with the normal style of patches. So to end the rambling and get on to the fun stuff, what this patch does, aside from all the optimization and bug fixes, is it lays down the framework for the community built city plans. So stuff you guys build, you're gonna be able to add new city plans to the system, just like the add-on makers have been able to add new buildings. Anyone will be able to add new city plans. And now I had claimed anyone could add buildings at one point. Some of you guys looked through the kit and were like, that's a little too much for me. Well, the new city builders stuff is done almost entirely in the game. So if you like building inside a Fallout in the workshop system, you like designing intricate builds, you're going to be able to export those out of the game, and I'm going to give you tools to convert them into leveled city plans. So that stuff is coming. I expect it to be released in the next few weeks. I don't have a specific date yet because there are other players involved, and I want to make sure that everybody has enough time to get all of their work done before I push it out. I don't want to rush it or anything. But that's coming, and that will also include the ability to add new city leaders. I know a lot of you guys hate that it's only companions. The solution to that is coming down the pipes so that other people will be able to add their own take on city leaders to the system. Okay, so other than that, obviously please read the patch notes. There's tons of little changes and bug fixes. But the other thing I want to talk about is Salvaged Beacons. If you haven't used Salvaged Beacons yet, that was the first mod I released for Fallout. And basically what it does is allows you to place a radio beacon somewhere in a container anywhere in the world, and you can put it in Nuka World or down in the Mechanist layer or down in the Living Sea, anywhere you want, any interior, any exterior, wherever. Drop that beacon in, dump whatever stuff you want to offload, so stuff you're tired of carrying. It's designed so that you can come out of a dungeon and give all your stuff to your settlers rather than you having to haul it all back and then take a break from your adventuring. So you can just keep going. So once you drop that radio beacon and all your stuff, your settlers will come pick up that stuff and take it back. So the reason I'm mentioning this is if you have Salvaged Beacons, or if you download it now and update to the latest version, it will now detect sim settlements and offer you a donate option. So you'll now be able to send donations from anywhere in the Commonwealth to any of your settlements. So if you see that in your Pip-Boy, one of your settlements is low on happiness, low on defense, you can toss some extra guns, equipment, and chemicals into a bin somewhere and have your settlers come pick it up themselves rather than you having to run to them. So I think that's going to really change up the gameplay a lot and make it so that you can you can better remote control your settlements and make sure that they're getting everything they need to level up while you're out and about shooting bad guys. So give that mod a try. All right, I think that's enough talking for me. My voice is killing me. Guys, thank you so much for all of the bug reports and the save files. They helped me learn a lot and helped me make some massive improvements to Sim Settlements. Please back up your save files before you install this patch. It is a major patch, and you should get in the habit of backing up your saves anyway. If you're a survival player, go pick up a mod that lets you save anytime. It's just not worth the risk to rely on those auto saves when you're playing with mods, especially a mod as complex as Sim Settlements, which can have some quirks, and it's silly to risk your save files that you've put hundreds of hours in over something like that. So please, guys, back up your saves. All right, until the next patch, take care and enjoy the mod.